Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. It's great to be here. I'm sure you were expecting someone much older than myself, but you get what you get. I'm going to talk to you about you. I want you to be selfish for a little while and think about yourself. So who are you? Who you are matters. And so who are you? I'm going to give you some suggestions, some lessons, some hints, mostly from my failures. One of my life's lessons has been to focus not on my at-bats, not on my strikeouts, groundouts, flyouts, my failures, but on my hits, my successes. I want you to be a little bit selfish for a few minutes and think about, is there anything that he says that I can take and steal from him and make me a better person? So that's what we're going to talk about. Well, let's first put this in a perspective, right? We need a perspective. Right now, last I counted, there are about 8.1 billion people on this earth. 8.1 billion people. So to flip that, each of you represent 0.000000000012345 of the world. Does that make you feel insignificant? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Because I'm talking about the power of one, the power of you, each of you. Each of you. One person can change the world. One person can impact so many people. One person can find the cure for cancer. One person can lead all of us on a path to peace. So be selfish for just a little while. I've been around a few years. I'm a slow learner, so maybe I can help you out. I didn't get my first tattoo until I was 50. I have 4 now. I didn't complete my first full Ironman until I was 58. Done 4 since then. I'm a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. I want you to stop worrying about everybody else. You can't control them, and focus on yourself. There's a really, really good song out there now. There's lots of good music. But I like the song from the Brothers Osborne, Nobody's Nobody. I want to quote you some of the lyrics. It's out there. Don't Google it right now, but soon Google it and watch the video. The lyrics go like this. Some wind up in the Hall of Fame. Some go down in a blaze of glory. Some people never, ever make a name, but change the game in someone's story. Sun goes up, sun goes down. Takes all kinds to make this world go around. Everybody, somebody, someone, somebody, someone. A sinner, a saint, or a son of a gun. Nobody's nobody. So you do matter. You do matter. And my lessons are how to make you matter more. How to be the best person that you can be. So lesson number 1, we're going to talk about the lists, the 3 lists. There are lots of lists. We live with lots of lists, but I want to talk about 3 lists. And I want to put them in the order I believe they should be. Because unfortunately for many of us, they're oftentimes taken out of order. And what are those 3 lists? Well, the third list, meaning the third important, not the second, not the first, is that dreaded to-do list. Everybody has a to-do list, right? We live by our to-do lists. How many of you spend so much time looking for your to-do list? Got to find that to-do list. Where is that to-do list? I got to update the to-do list. Oh my gosh, I can't get anything done because I'm working on the to-do list. That's an important list. You've got to have a to-do list, but it's not the most important list. It's actually the third most important list. And what is the second most important list? The to-done list. We don't pay enough attention to our to-done list. We don't stop and smell the roses. We don't look at our accomplishments. We don't celebrate enough what we have done. We're missing that confirmation, that affirmation. You know, the difference between the to-do list and the to-done list, well, that to-done list gives you this feeling of satisfaction of accomplishing something. That to-do list, well, that gives us ulcers, right? And the number one list, what's the number one list? What's the most important list that we oftentimes don't put number one? It's our to-be list. What is your to-be list? Do you have a to-be list? If not, you need to work on a to-be list. To be a better person, to be a better human being, better spouse, sibling, husband, wife, to be more forgiving, to be more anti-racist. Your to-be list is your to-be list. It's not mine, it's yours. But you need to develop that. Grow your to-be list as you grow yourself. Second lesson. There aren't 7 days of the week. How many of you learn 7 days a week in school? Wrong, wrong, wrong. Me too. Little secret. There's only 3. And those 3 days aren't Saturday, Sunday, someday. Those 3 days, the only 3 days of the week, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And there's not a thing you can do about yesterday. It's over. You might learn from it. That's good. If it was a bad day, let it go. But the 2 most important days of the week are today and tomorrow. Too many of us live in the past. Too many of us focus on what has happened, me included, and not learning from mistakes and focusing on what's in front of us. I heard it somewhere, I can't remember where, it goes something like this. Do you know why the windshield on your automobile is bigger than the rearview mirror? Grace. It's called grace. Focus moving forward. Remember those lessons. If you don't believe me, I have a quote for you from Eleanor Roosevelt. She once said, "Life was meant to be lived, and curiosity must be kept alive. One must never, for any reason, turn one's back on life." Focus moving forward. Even moving forward slowly is moving forward. Even stopping momentarily is moving forward. Focus on your future. Focus on your future. Another important lesson for you to think about is, what is your personal creed? I served as a soldier for 28 years, active duty, reserve, 2 post-9/11 mobilizations, retired in 2010 when I went on the Supreme Court. My wife is a Navy officer. She served on active duty, served in Iraq, served in the reserves, just completed a 2-year recalled active duty, and is now back home. I tell you that because every service has a creed, a statement of belief, a motto, something to try to live by. Do you have one? Show of hands, who carries around with them their personal creed? Who's memorized their personal creed motto? Homework. You now have homework, that dreaded 8-word, the most dreaded 8-letter word in the English language. What is my creed? I will share it with you. I give it to you as a gift. Think about it, use it, modify it. It's 12 words. It was 8 words and 4 statements. Now it's 12 words, 5 statements. My personal creed, my motto, some days are better than others. Work hard, do good, be proud, have fun, do what is right. We'll come back to that. I want to share with you a picture of the island of Cuba, the country of Cuba. If you look on this in the southeast far right lower corner is the U.S. Navy base at Guantanamo Bay. It's been our U.S. Navy base since 1898, following the Spanish-American War. We have a naval base there. We have a military presence there. The base itself is about 45 square miles, or about the size of Disney World without the monorail. It's been a refueling coaling station in its history, transition to drug interdiction headquarters, rule of law for Central and South America. And then after 9/11, it gained another mission, housing the detainees post 9/11. Millions and millions of dollars have been spent to construct a state-of-the-art courtroom, prisons, other facilities. Part of the base you cannot get access to unless you have a security clearance. And that is where all the detainees were sent. At one time, there were over 400 detainees there. I knew how many exactly, but I couldn't tell you. Now there are less than 25, and it's not a secret. I can tell you that of all the detainees that were placed at Guantanamo Bay, the vast majority of them were all eventually released, returned home, never charged, never committed any crime against the United States. Why do I tell you this? Because I do know a little bit about Guantanamo Bay. I was there in various capacities, intermittently throughout my military career. And I was the Chief Defense Counsel at Guantanamo Bay. I was the Chief Defense Counsel of Guantanamo Bay. I was charged with defending all of the 9/11 terrorists. I was the Chief Defense Counsel of Guantanamo Bay when Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was charged. I was the Chief Defense Counsel who set up that team. I was the Chief Defense Counsel when Guantanamo Bay became the military's #1 legal mission. So I'm going to share some of my lessons for you using some examples from Guantanamo Bay. That's a picture of me speaking to the world press. I know it looks like I'm praying, and I did a lot of that. It was a very difficult job, very difficult job. When I was notified and selected by the Secretary of Defense, I was a trial court judge in Indiana. I was in the reserves, I was mobilized, recalled to active duty. And I remember trying to explain what I was going to be doing to my 85-year-old World War II father, veteran, 22 years in the military. I said, Dad, I'm going to be defending the 9/11 terrorists. And my father, I'll never forget this, sat up straight, and he leaned forward, and he looked at me, and he said, well, don't work too hard, Stevie. And then he sat up straight, and he said, do your duty, son. Do your duty, son. And shortly thereafter is when I added that last part to my motto, those last 4 words. It became, work hard, do good, be proud, have fun, do what is right. Do what is right. Not part of the time, but all the time. Do what is right regardless of what anybody else is doing. We spend too much time worrying about what somebody else is doing. You be your own compass. Worry about yourself. Do what's right, even when it's not easy. It's easy to do what's right when it's easy. It ain't so easy to do what's right when it's not easy. Because sometimes the difference between doing what is right and doing what is not right is doing what is right or doing what is, well, easy. Do what's right always, always, always. The year before I was the chief defense counsel at Guantanamo Bay, I was actually the senior lawyer at Guantanamo Bay for the base commander. And you fly into Guantanamo Bay, very quickly land, and then you have to take some sort of craft across the water to the main part of the base. As the staff judge advocate, as the interim staff judge advocate, I got to ride on the FBI fast boat. Very cool, very cool. I come back a year later, same person, same rank. I'm now the chief defense counsel. I ride across on the ferry. I am now persona non grata. I fell from grace. And for the first time in my life, I knew what it felt like to be stereotyped because of your position, because of misinformation, disinformation. I realized how important it was to do my job and do what's right. I have many stories from Guantanamo Bay for another time or perhaps for a book. I will tell you that I was a trial judge for 16 years and a Supreme Court justice for 12 years. And all I ever tried to do, some days were better than others, was do the very best I could. Work hard, do good, be proud, have fun, and do what is right. My staff, myself, it was not a matter of being an R or D or an I or a J or a K. None of those things. It was always about doing the right thing. And if we can focus as individuals on the right thing, I'm of the humble opinion that our world will be much better off. So let's recap. Work hard, do good, be proud, have fun, and do what's right. Work hard. Work hard. Work smart, but work hard. I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, I'm really in favor of that person who likes to work. Okay, work hard. Do good. Do good. John Adams. He once said, to be good and to do good is that all we have to do. So maybe that's number one on your to-do list, do good. And then on your to-be list, it could be good. So you've got two of those, doing really well, right? Be proud. Be proud. There was an author, Karen Samuelson, that says, don't wait till you reach your goal to be proud. Be proud of yourself every step along the way. I think that's profound. Be proud every step along the way. As the Chief Defense Counsel, wearing a military uniform, you have your name over your right chest, right side of your chest. My last name, David. As the Chief Defense Counsel, when a detainee was charged, it was my duty to go tell them and assign a team to defend them. And I would go to the detention facility, and I would take my name tag off because, for security reasons, right? And I would go through security, and I would put my name tag back on. And I would introduce myself, with or without an interpreter. I'm Steve David, I'm Colonel David, I'm the Chief Defense Counsel. My office is going to defend you. That's our job, that's our oath, that's our mission, that's what we're going to do. I suggest to you, I implore each and every one of you, put your name on everything you do. Be the best version of you that you can absolutely be. And then there's have fun. Have fun. Learn to laugh. Sometimes we take what we do seriously, sometimes too seriously, but always want to take what we do seriously. But we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. One of my favorite t-shirts I had made, I like to wear, it's becoming more and more true, but it says, growing old is inevitable, growing up is optional, right? So you got to have fun. You got to laugh sometimes in the face of adversity. I may have taken that picture. Maybe it was a bad day. Maybe I took that picture. I don't know. Betty White says about humor, if one has no humor, one is in trouble. Got to cultivate that sense of humor. Got to laugh to keep from crying sometimes. I had this top secret SCI clearance. I had to go through this arduous process to get my top secret SCI clearance. And the final read-on, I completed that. There was a gentleman on the other side of the desk, and he said, Colonel David, you have completed the process. You now have a top secret SCI clearance. Do you have any questions? And I said, yes, sir. And he leaned forward, and he said, what is your question? And I leaned forward, and at that very moment, I hesitated, and I suddenly became 14 years of age again. And he said, Colonel David, what is your question? And without thinking, I got a little closer to him. So we're very, very close. And I said, are there really little green men? He said, this meeting is over, and stood up and walked out. Sometimes you just got to do it. You got to add a little levity to the situation. It's okay. It's okay. And speaking of okay, it's okay not to be okay. Newsflash, we're all hot messes. All of us are works in progress. Some of us are more hot mess than others, and sometimes more often than others, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I want to leave you with this and reflect upon what you've heard. I want to leave you with this. This is a quote from Sir Edmund Hillary. It's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Focus on that to-be list. Who do you want to be? You've got today and you've got tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. In just a few months, my wife and I will leave to climb to Everest Base Camp. But that quote is relevant to all of us. To all of us. It's okay to be a little selfish. It's okay to focus on yourself. What is your to-be list? What is your personal creed? Are you taking advantage of everything that you have? Are you the best that you can be? Don't worry about everybody else. You just be the best that you can be. And you know what? We'll be a lot better off because you will be so good. Thank you very much.